Okay everyone, this is an impression video because this game is very extensive. It is big. If you decide to make your way through this Otome game, you have many hours of storytelling ahead of you, and I personally have made it through about half of all the stories. But let's take a look what this is really about. For all fans of the Norn series, Norn9 Last Era is now available for Nintendo Switch. However, this is not a new edition, as the game was originally launched back in 2015, but now you can download two games in Nintendo's eShop, partly VAR Commons, which is priced at $50, and Last Era, which also costs about $50. Last Era can be described as a fan disc that goes in depth with all the characters. It all starts with an extensive prelude, where we gradually get to experience the characters' pasts before they boarded the ship. A large focus is directed at the relationships between different travelers, or as they are called, espers. But the prelude also highlights each person's unique traits and how they relate to each other. But in my opinion, the prelude gives a mixed impression. The point is to get through 9 different scenarios, where each scenario puts a certain character in focus. Some stories can be quite interesting, especially when there is some tension around the current character, but that is not always the case. There is an enormous amount of filler content, which certainly adds more color to the whole. But this can be at the expense of the flow of the narrative. Some conversations could easily be cut without harming the meaning of the story. But I guess it's a give and take situation. At least you get to know all the characters thoroughly and in depth. After the prelude is completed, the game opens up significantly. Now there are 3 different options to choose from, and you can choose which order you want. The 3 options are Concerto, Fugue and Fantasia. Fugue takes you back to the first game, but you get to experience the game from a new perspective. Here, the focus is mainly on the love relationships between different characters. Concerto can be described as the main content of the game, and Fantasia, where you play one of the game's 3 female characters. To talk about an example from the Fugue that I found interesting, I want to mention Kakeru's route. I don't want to spoil too much, but this story that plays out is quite dramatic in parts and contains, among other things, an engaging love story. Most of all, I appreciated that it was told in a way that included uncertainty about how potential partners feel about each other. But the story also reveals things that lead to dramatic events. And I think it's important that the storytelling is dynamic, that sequences that aren't really that telling are followed by scenes that are far more captivating. And the Fugue definitely has its good moments. Now, this is an impression video, and I want to be honest in saying that I haven't plowed through all the stories yet, because this is a very extensive game and will require several days to get through, unless you fast forward all the content, which is basically pointless, especially if you experience the narrative for the first time. But of the ones I got through, there are events that definitely engaged me as a reader. Much more than the prelude, which in parts felt relatively dry, albeit colorful in the descriptions of the various characters. The third part of the game is called Concerto. Similar to the Fugue, you can choose from 9 different characters. All can be played through in turn. This is intended to be the main part of the game, as everything is told from a new time perspective. That is, what happens, well, I don't want to spoil too much, but what happens to all the characters after certain events have happened. To continue talking about Kakeru's fate, here you really have to go in depth with his relationships, both those he loves, his friends, but also other people who played a vital role in his life. And much is about ethics and morality, to live in a way that is in line with one's values, and things happen in the story that question the way the characters see themselves and their fellow humans. But at the same time, this is what creates tension, in that no one is perfect. It's a balance between good and evil, and making decisions that can be controversial. But it's also about coming to terms with one's past and creating a future that inspires hope. So the stories are not necessarily light-hearted. They can really address the hard questions of life. And in the center are often the special powers of each character. In the game, they are often used as tools to create some kind of conflict. For example, what it's like to adapt to a society where you are different, where people around try to take advantage or show fear because of a character's special abilities, a concept that I see coming back time and time again. The last choice is called Fantasia. These stories are of a more light-hearted nature, where we get to play one of the game's 3 female characters. Very often in the game you get to see how the girls talk to one of their male colleagues, but in Fantasia we may get more of the girls than before, so it's a slightly different take compared to the other content. Norn9 Last Era is a game that obviously goes hand in hand with Var Commons, and it might be worth buying if you're a fan of the series and want to get to know the characters in depth. And I have to say that no expense is spared when it comes to content. Of the stories I've played, my impression is that they are very extensive and rarely leave anything to chance. If we look at the options available, I think there is a generous selection. I sometimes notice that the characters spoke rather indistinctly in relation to how strong the music is, but this can easily be fixed in the menu. Of course, there is also an option to fast forward the dialogues, but you can also stop and reread if you missed something important, a feature I used a few times when someone said something memorable. So again, if you're a fan of the Norn games, then why not? Maybe it's worth the $50. At least you get a lot of stories for the money. I have had a bit of a break lately, but now I am back again with more videos, reviews and so on. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. Have a good day, see ya!